Yo, what's up, guys? Old School Dan here, and welcome to Creating the Classic Physique Illusion. In this video, we're going to talk about what the illusion is. I'm going to give you some really good examples of guys who have perfected the illusion. Then, we're going to talk about what you should be focusing on. We're going to break it down step by step, exercise by exercise, muscle by muscle. I'm going to give you the complete breakdown so you can get the most out of so you can get the most out of this presentation. But before we get started, I want to talk about something that's kind of frustrating. See, there's nobody on YouTube or anybody that I really know, like the Instagram golden era guys like Liam Kelly, Artemis, that I really see talking about this or making videos about this. They're more like base training, but they're not the full breakdown of like creating the illusion. How wide deltoids so you can give you more of a V table look. Widen the lats instead of thickening them because a thick and dense back kind of ruins the illusion of wide lats. Nobody makes videos like this. I haven't found anybody on YouTube that gives advice like I do. And literally, specifically, all my videos are just golden era or old school advice based. And it excites me to hopefully guide you through building your very own classic physique. Because it's more than just exercises, it's the mentality that's truly important. All right, with that being said, let us get started. All right, so what is the illusion? The illusion is emphasizing certain areas of your body to create what Vince Strana calls a cosmetic effect. And you're also at the same time de emphasizing other areas of the body. That also adds to the cosmetic effect, and that creates a physique that's out of this world. Now, I don't know about you, but that's like the physique I want. But if that is you, then keep watching this video. So, the most obvious example of creating an illusion would probably be a skinny guy, with narrow shoulders and a wide waist and hips. And he has like no V taper at all. But he does have one of the prerequisites of an X-ray. Now, if he were to add 1 inch onto his deltoids, especially the side heads, he would create the illusion of a smaller waist and hips at the same time. It's almost similar to Francis Benefato on the right. He has that emphasis in the middle of his quad. It might be the upper quad that gives him the illusion that he actually looks taller than he is. This guy is actually 5'6". And no offense to anybody who's 5'6", but that's kind of short in my book. I'm 5'8", and 5'6" is how tall my friend is, and he's a little shorter than me. But anyways, getting to the point, you can emphasize certain areas on your body to give you a cosmetic effect, to look taller, or to look bigger. Like I just had someone comment on one of my pictures. Well, he actually sent me a DM. I think he might be watching this video right now. But anyways, he's like, "Bro, how tall are you? You look big." And I was like, "Dude, I'm only 5'8", man." And I'm telling you, emphasizing certain areas will give you a for sure cosmetic effect that's out of this world. So, creating an illusion is what bodybuilding is all about. You can only create an illusion by shape training and paying attention to every detail of your physique and training. It's like what Frank Zane said, you have to be a good observer. You have to know when something is getting out of proportion or when your physique is not looking right or beautiful. And remember, never get big just for the sake of it. Like never compromise your symmetry, proportions for like size. That's kind of like the reason why Arnold lost to Frank Zane. Frank Zane had better symmetry, better lines, more aesthetics, and Arnold lost because of that. And the thing is, if you just try to gain size, you could ruin your shape and your proportions. All right, so that was the simplified version of what the illusion is. Next, we're going to get into what I call illusion system training. All right, so here's another reason why I say you shouldn't copy a bodybuilder's routine other than steroids. To build shape and beauty in your physique, you shouldn't just copy a routine out of a magazine, something you found on the internet, or on social media just because your favorite bodybuilder uses it. His needs are different from yours. Don't just train mindlessly. Think about what you need to build on to improve your physique. So, one of the reasons I stopped buying training plans from guys like on Instagram. Well, one of them is because they're on steroids and it wouldn't work for me. And the other reason is because they don't know what my needs are. Like I may need a lower thigh muscle that I need like I might need more cat squats, and I might need more like standing calf raises instead of seated calf raises, and I might need more lateral tricep exercises and shit like that. Like it's not really much of a custom made or tailored program to give you that cosmetic effect or quote unquote illusion. Like, if you're damn right serious about building a classic physique, you have to know your weak points, you have to know your strong points, you have to know your needs and what you have to do in order to create that cosmetic effect or the illusion. All right, something you have to understand right now is that bodybuilding is an isolation sport. In order to create that symmetry and those proportions and that shape, you have to use isolation exercises to create that cosmetic effect, because you can't just be doing the squat because that works too many muscles at the same time. You have to, like work just the lower thigh or the upper thigh and the bench press. I mean, you can't have too much front deltoid and it just ruins the symmetry. You have to make sure you're focusing on the lateral raise to give you that side deltoid, or the deadlift that makes your waist too thick and it gives you too much abs and kind of ruins the V-taper with your lats and shit like that. You have to choose the exercises that will improve your shape and your proportions. Hey, it's like Frank Zane said, if the exercise didn't improve his symmetry, his shape, his proportions, he didn't do it at all. So, if some of your favorite exercises like the squat, the bench press, the deadlifts, if they don't improve your shape, your symmetry, your proportions, don't do them. Look, I'm not a powerlifter. I'm not interested in numbers like how much weight I can handle or how many inches my biceps are. I'm interested in the cosmetic effect and the beauty of the body. I'm what Vince Gironda would call a physical culturist. You see, like, people get offended when I say don't do the squat, don't do the deadlift, don't do the bench press. Those are all like main lifts in a powerlifting competition. Okay, I'm not a powerlifter. My channel is not about powerlifting. I'm not here to help you increase weight. And even on my Instagram, I'm not interested in studying maxes, how many inches my biceps are. I'm not into that. I'm interested in helping people create the symmetry, the proportions, the shape, the illusion, the physique that they want. So, with that being said, I hope you now have a better understanding behind my deductive reasoning of why I don't do deadlifts, squats, and bench press. So, anyways, moving on, let us move on to the actual training part of this illusion training system. All right, so the code name for this training is X-frame training. It's not called the illusion system training. It's called X-frame training. Some private, detailed, exclusive training I'm going to give you on building your very own classic physique and achieving what Vince Gironda calls a cosmetic effect or quote unquote illusion. All right, so I'm going to talk about some muscles and some exercises you should be focused on to really emphasize those peripheral muscles, okay? Number one, the upper pecs. Now, how to exercise them. Stick with the incline presses with the dumbbells, barbells, or a Smith machine, and also incline dumbbell flies. All right, so another part you need to focus on is take a look at the picture in the middle. You can see that Larry Scott has good outer pecs. Now, how do you emphasize that part? Well, dips. And I'm talking about V-bar dips. Those are probably the best way to emphasize the outer pecs, but you can also do wide grip bench presses with the sort of like locking out you're doing a tension style. Kind of like you're locking out a little bit but not too much. So you can keep that constant tension on the outer pecs. All right, so now let us take a look at the picture in the middle again. You can obviously see Larry Scott's doing the side tricep, but there's a part on his tricep that you should really emphasize on, which is the lateral head of the tricep. Now, how do you focus on the lateral head of the tricep? Well, you should focus on the tricep press down with the elbows wide, rope extensions, and again with the elbows wide and turning the wrists out in a contracting position or lying dumbbell extensions, moving the dumbbells across the face. All right, so next muscle is the lower tricep. So take a look at the picture all the way to the left. Number one, the lower part of the tricep, which is the sweeping part under the elbow, which is the tricep. Now, if you want to emphasize on that part, here's the exercise that you need to be doing. Try this. Try the lying easy curl bar extensions, letting the elbows splay out to the sides and lowering the bar below the chin. And I also can recommend close hand push-ups too. All right, so next up is Larry Scott's favorite, the lower part of the bicep. I told you about how where he got the inspiration to make that pose. So the lower part of the bicep, take a look at picture number 3 all the way to the right. Take a look at those biceps. He has very impressive lower biceps. And if you want to know how to work those, obviously Larry Scott was a big fan of the preacher curl. So preacher curl with the barbell or dumbbells are pretty good. And you can also do the reverse curls and hammer curls. All right, so take a look at picture number 1 all the way to the left again. So the next part is the side head of the deltoids, which is the lateral head of the shoulder. Now, if you really want to focus on that lateral head, use obviously lateral raises, pretty good, with either cables or the dumbbells. You can do one arm or both arms at a time. You can also do the Scott dumbbell presses, the W presses, or the upright rows. Those are all pretty good for building the side head of your shoulder. All right, so again, take a look at the same picture all the way to the left, number 1. You can see, obviously, Larry Scott's got really good shoulders. You know, he's got a great arm, perfect arm. But look at those rear deltoids. You see how his deltoid is completely full. Like this, he's got the front deltoid, he's got the side, and the rear deltoid. It all connects with one another. I mean, obviously, you can do rear delt flies with the machine or the dumbbells, and you can also do the wide grip bent over rows, which work the rhomboids and the deltoid's pretty good. Those were the rear deltoid heads. Now let's move on to the lats. All right, so take a look at the picture all the way to the right. You can see Larry Scott's got that V taper. Now, how do you achieve that? We'll stick to wider chins to the front or the back. And the thing is also, Arnold, this is another thing. Take a look at the picture. I'm not Arnold, my bad. Excuse me. Take a look at the picture all the way to the left. He's got those sweeping lats. You can tell he's got those sweeping lats. You can stick to reverse barbell grip rows. I also have a video on how to tie your lower lats into your waist. So if you want to take a look at that too, that's also a pretty good video. I got 3 exercises that golden era bodybuilders use to get that sweeping lat effect. And anyways, I'm gonna give you 2 more. Well, I mean, actually, you know, it's actually the same thing. So right now I'm gonna give it to you. One arm dumbbell rows, reverse grip barbell rows, and close grip chins or pull downs. Those are all pretty good for the sweeping the lats into the waist. Now let's move on to the next muscle. All right, so next muscle is the spinal erectors. Picture number 1, all the way to the left, you can just tell that Larry Scott has good spinal erectors. Now, Larry Scott didn't do the deadlifts. He did hyperextensions. Most likely he did stiff-legged deadlifts. And good mornings, they're all pretty good lower back exercises. They're also the safest too. Regular deadlifts place too much strain on the spine and build the obliques too much, and then they thicken the waist. All right, so that was the spinal erector. Now let's move on to the next muscle, the classic serratus, the famous serratus. How do we do that? Well, that has to do with doing the dumbbell pullovers with the barbell or the dumbbell. And you know, some close grip chins and pull downs they sometimes build the serratus as well. You can also do the cable pullovers, the cable pull downs. I don't know if you've seen anybody do that. It's kind of like you can YouTube that. Cable pullovers with serratus. Those are also pretty good. They just don't build the rib cage though. Anyways, let's move on to abs. So for abs, you want to avoid the straight leg sit-ups, the leg raises, because they involve the hip flexors too much and the lower back too much. You're gonna want to stick to crunches more, knee ins, kind of like I don't know if you ever, yeah, no, you probably haven't read Vince Ronda's books, but knee ins like you tucking your legs into your waist, and then you also can do the knee ups hanging from the bar, or what do they call them? How do they call that exercise? Anyways, knee ups hanging from the chin and bar. I don't know what the other term for it's called, but those are all pretty good for the abs. The next up is the thigh sweep. Take a look at the picture all the way to the right. Now, if you want to create that sweeping thigh effect, you're gonna want to do parallel squats with the toes pointing out. You can also do them on the hack squats, famously seen by Tom Platz. He calls them, does he call them the duck squats or something like that? Those are pretty good to create that sweeping thigh effect. And then next up is the lower thigh. Now I made a video on that. I called it the Steve Reeves' trick, he had really good lower thigh development. He saw the beauty in it. He understand the importance of it. So that's why he did so many hack squats, front squats, and shit like that. Sissy squats as well. I think he did sissy squats. Yeah, those are all pretty good for building that lower thigh. Hack squats are pretty good. Smith machine squats, placing the free in front of the machine so you can lean back on the bar. Those were a favorite of Vince's. Vince wasn't a big fan of the squat, but he wasn't totally against it. He was just against the traditional way of doing squats. That's why he kind of like advocated more of the sissy squats, the hack squats, the front squats, and doing Smith machine squats with the legs forward. All right, so with that being said, let's move on to calves. So obviously you can see Larry Scott's got really good calves. Now, if you want to, there's two parts of the calf you can work. You have the gastrocnemius and you have the soleus. So if you want to work the soleus, which is like it gives you that part that locks into your ankle. If you want to work the soleus really good, seated calf raises probably work best, and the gastrocnemius, which adds the thickness to the actual calf, is standing toe raises. You can also do on the leg press, hack squat, or you can do one-legged calf raises. Those are all really good to build the calves. Now, next up, and lastly, is the forearms. So, you want to train the top of the forearms with reverse wrist curls, reverse preacher curls, and hammer curls. The undersides of the forearms respond to the wrist curls that are seated and the standing or holding the bar behind the back. So, those are all really good exercises for your forearms to get those Larry Scott forearms. So, building a beautiful and shapely physique is much more creative and it's more like an individualistic process than building mass and size alone. This can also be more rewarding. I strongly encourage you to adhere to the principles of shape training and symmetry building in order to create a beautiful physique, one that is perfect as you can make it. So, with that being said, subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. Like this video right now if you thought it was super incredibly insightful and it's going to help you out a lot in transforming into your very own classic physique or your own illusion, cosmetic effect, whatever you want to call it. Check me out on Instagram. I'm at oldschool_Dan. Thanks for watching. This is Old School Dan checking out. Peace.